All right, Shalom. First foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Makakodash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, the great millstone that taught us this truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect, the Akim and the Aqua scattered on the four corners of the globe. All right. And briefly in this lesson, I want to touch on, some of the major news that has come into the media the last few days. All right, being the banking system, right? The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, all right, and the ramification that's going to have, as time goes on, right? Because as the elders and apostles on down um, have been prophesying, you know, this year, is the hopeful year of all prophecies coming to pass. Okay, and a major part of that happening is, the collapse of this current financial system, this current way of life. All right, so that the C hip, okay, the M to the O to the T to the B, all right, can be issued on a global level, right? So in order to get to those final prophecies, we know that absolute chaos, right, absolute, confusion and has to take place, all right, and we could be looking at the beginning stages um, of, a global financial collapse. All right, that's very possible. That's what we could have on our hands right now. And what we're about to witness is it play out. Over a period of time. All right, how quickly that's gonna happen, we'll see. But this is definitely, a significant event, and we'll see, how it plays out. You know, the Fed has came in, and guaranteed guaranteed all the depositors, you know, and kind of shored up the markets. That's the news today. However, all right, based off of, different analysts and things of that nature, we know that everything that the Fed does is essentially uh quantitative easing, right? Quantitative easing, which is just printing money, all right, printing more money. All right. So, you know, this could be highly inflationary as well, so we'll just see, but I wanted to do a spiritual commentary on this video. But before that, let me get a quick scripture. All right. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 8, but I'll start at verse 7. This is Matthew 24 and 7, and it reads, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." Right, which is what we've been seeing all over the planet Earth, as of recently, right? And we know that all of these things are going to culminate ultimately into World War III. Okay, but it says all these are the beginnings of sorrows, right? So right now we're in the beginning stages of a very difficult period of time. All right, which is ultimately going to mature into the worst time in human history, pursuant to Jeremiah the 30th chapter. All right, so we're in the beginning phases of something very critical taking place, and this is a part of it. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into this video, and I'm gonna pull particular precepts when the spirit permits. Right. So what he's describing is a term, that's talked about often, amongst GMS, and that term is order ab chaos. All right, and that phrase is Latin for order out of chaos, and it's a concept that uh, essentially the Masons use. All right, in regards to fulfilling their enterprise, right, causing chaos purposely so that they can institute order, right, so that they can further their agenda by instituting particular laws, all right, and decrees. Okay, so what we're seeing right now is financial chaos. All right, bank runs. People losing their faith. In the banking system. All right, which is key because ultimately this banking system is ran off of confidence. It's ran off of faith. The stock market, the different markets, right? They only work, if people believe that they work, right? Because ultimately, all these assets, all right, all these different, commodities, they're all denominated in dollars, all right, or they're all priced in dollars, okay, but the dollar itself is just it's a unit of debt, all right. The dollar itself has no actual intrinsic value, okay, and it's losing, actual purchasing power, more and more as time goes on, and people are beginning to realize that, which is why you have a lot of guys talking about going into gold, going into silver, going into, this, that, and the third, which is wise to a certain extent. All right. But ultimately, we're going to need the covering of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. Ultimately, we're going to need, that wisdom and knowledge, that shall be the stability of our times, like the scriptures say. Okay. And a matter of fact, let me get a quick precept and then I'm going to keep going. Slaki, let me get this. But this is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 12. And it says, for wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Right? So wisdom is a defense and money is defense, but wisdom is better. Right? And what is wisdom? Okay, let's go to Job 28:28. Right? This is Job 28:28, and it says, and unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding, right? So ultimately, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the canned goods, you can have all these different carnal, things, but ultimately, the Lord is going to be having mercy on those that fear Him, all right? Those that have been, putting that fear into, using that fear to drive, their everyday, actions, all right, and mindset. Okay, let's go back to the video. right? And that debt, is talked about in the scriptures. All right, and let's get that. All right, let's get that. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2. All right, because ultimately, what people don't understand about the scriptures is the scriptures, you know, what separates the scriptures, as we know from every other book on planet Earth, is prophecy, right? The ability for the scriptures to predict and foretell what's going to happen thousands and thousands and thousands of years down the line. Now, what people, what the average, outsider don't understand is that the prophecies are not vague. All right, they're very, very specific. All right, and that just adds to the glory of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? Because not only do we have particular kingdoms and particular nations prophesied to rise up, all right, but we also have their characteristics, all right, and what will cause their downfall prophesied as well. All right, so it's very specific, and what the scribe and what the prophecies describe, are going to happen. All right, so this debt that he's talking about in this video is prophesied, right? So this is a Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 6. All right, and it says, I'll start at verse 4. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Right, we live by faith. Faith is going to be how we endure until the end. All right, by faith in Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Verse 5, it says, "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death." Right? And that's exactly, this scripture is going into Esau Edom, the spirit of Esau Edom. Right? And that's what we see, okay, here today. We see the so-called white man on every, continent of the planet Earth, all right, throughout the, four corners of the planet Earth, all right, seducing, okay, these other nations, into particular agreements, right, trade agreements, economic, all right, partnerships and things of that nature, right? And all he's doing is sucking the nations dry, all right? He's sucking them dry, all right, and he's also, persuading them to adopt, his philosophy, his wine, right, his ideas. All right. So, for the most part, all the nations of the planet Earth, have adopted this debt based, monetary system. All right. Which is ultimately upholding America at the end of the day. All right. Because who's the nation? Okay. Who's the nation? All right. Spending the most money. All right. Who's the nation? Creating all this damn debt. Most of this debt is Babylon the Great. All right, but this Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay," right? And that thick clay represents the debt, all right? The debt that's associated, all right, with, Babylon the Great in this monetary system. All right. This debt is what's keeping, everybody enslaved, right? All the money that you have in your bank account, all right, all the things that you own, your car, your house, your boat, all right, whatever it is that you have, all right, is denominated in dollars for the most part, right? And dollars are a unit of debt. That's what they are. Every dollar that comes into existence has to be paid back plus interest. All right. So let's go back to the video. Right. Just like the apostles have been saying, we're witnessing a controlled demolition of this global financial system. Right. It's purposely being destroyed. Right. It's purposely being sabotaged to create that chaos, to create an environment wherein the only way out is central bank digital currencies and the CHIP. All right. All roads lead to the MOTB. All right. The RFID implantable, you know what? Right. And it's plain. All right. It's very plain. All right. And anybody that's not teaching this, anybody that's not warning you about this is a false prophet. All right. Because when you read the scriptures are dealing with the falling and rising of kingdoms. All right. This is not a low level book. This is not just, a book that's just, full of cute stories and, feel good, moments. All right. This book it's a book of kings and kingdoms. All right. And when you consider kingdoms, what is the central, piece of every kingdom? Money, finance, commerce. Okay. So when you read Revelations 13 and 16, and it's prophesying, telling you about the rising up, of the this beast system, right? The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, which represents, NATO and the EU. What facilitates what's at the core of that system? It's the finance. All right. What we're gonna use to buy and sell. All right. Right. And we just read that in Habakkuk, the second chapter. Matter of fact, I'm going to read it again. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied. Right. And that's exactly like he what the guy Greg just pointed out in the video. These bigger banks are ultimately going to consume the smaller banks because of this event. People are going to lose faith, all right, in these smaller regional banks, right? So what we're witnessing is a consolidation of power, all right, and a excuse me, a consolidation of power is what gaining power, gaining jurisdiction over all nations and all people, ultimately, all right, being able to dictate, you know, what they do, all right, what they can spend their money on, all right, so on and so forth. All right, but Habakkuk 2 and 5 again, halfway through it says, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Right? So that's what we're seeing. Right. So that's pretty much the point on this. This is all about, a power grab. All right. Esau Edom establishing, his NWO. Okay. That's ultimately the end goal, as we know. Right. And everything is calculated. Right. Everything is calculated. None of this is by mistake. And a matter of fact, I'm gonna end off with this precept. This is Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 1. The point is in verse 2. It says, "Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them." Right? And that's the mindset of a lot of Jake, even Jake that knows that they're Israelites. All right. Jake is still hell bent on establishing themselves in this kingdom, right? Establishing themselves, all right, here in Babylon the Great, right? Under the so called, this global system that Esau Edom created, right? Jake is still talking about, building schools, building banks, all right? But the scriptures say, desire not to be with them, right? We have no desire to be connected in any way, shape, form, or fashion with this place. And that's going to become super important as we enter into Jacob's trouble because we're going to have to disconnect. All right. We're going to have to disconnect. That's why Micah 2 and 10 says, "Depart ye, for this is not your rest." Okay. There's going to come a point where we're going to have to completely detach from this current global system. All right. That time is vastly approaching. All right. But this is the point in verse 2. It says, "For their hearts studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief." Right. So going into what he said, right? This is a calculated event. All right. The elites, the powers that be of Esau Edom, know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how this is going to affect, okay, the people. All right. They knew how the people were going to react to it. All right. And this is just another step. All right. Another step towards the MOTB. All right. So, Lord's willing, this video was edifying. With that, I'll say shalom.